Good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Sean Harvey here and Julia Patterson with this Success Dynamic Duo episode. I just wanted to say OMG. We got two Sean Harveys on the screen because we haven't changed it yet, but we will change that very shortly. I just wanted to say this, guys. We're super excited to have on today Heather from Australia with her sexy accent. Because I know people that have accents are really sexy, and they tell us that in the sales process, it converts better than just having a regular English accent. So we want to welcome you, Heather. Thank you for spending some time with us today. And Julia will tell you a little bit more about where Heather's from, where she came from, and then Heather can get into her story. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone. Sean, you changed this.
I know. Focus.
Oops. I was going to do it afterwards. So, as Sean mentioned, that Heather is from Australia, sunny down under Melbourne, Australia is where she's from. She is a #1 internationally best-selling co-author with the Elevate Health Book series. She's a naturopath, a hypnotherapist, a millionaire mindset coach, and executive wellness coach specializing in work-life balance. Heather actually sent this to me. She said, I actually see my role as simply pouring love into people. That is all I really have to do. Fill myself with love and show others. And the little bit that I know, Heather, I can already see that that is so true. Heather, so we are so happy to have you here today. It's been a while, or been a hard time putting everything together because you're like from the future based on our time.
That's right.
So if you wouldn't mind kind of telling us a bit about your story, where you came from, what brought you to where you are, and maybe some of the aha moments along the way, and how you keep yourself motivated and inspired every day. Please and thank you.
Oh, thank you. Oh, it's just so great to connect finally. It has been months in the making. It's been an amazing time. And we're so lucky to have this incredible technology that allows us to chat live like this. It's amazing. Well, so it's been quite a journey, especially in the last couple of years, because I feel like it's only really been in the last 2 years that I really got what all this stuff is really about. As you would know, the way that we grow up, that becomes our normal. And looking back on the old me, I just had lots and lots of bad programming as a child. I was very lucky enough to be raised in a happy, loving home, but my mum wasn't the happiest of campers, shall we say. She, struggled with anxiety and depression, which really came out when I was a young child. So that was normal. I tell my clients and my friends now that I really, looking back now, I was like Sylvester the cartoon cat, hanging on the ceiling by my claws, waiting, when Sylvester's claws just pink, pink, pink off the ceiling and you're just waiting for the crash. That was me. And, it's amazing because I'm so far from that now. It's actually really hard to connect back to that person who was very, very afraid, massive control freak, needing to be in control, to be secure. So, I would describe my journey as I sort of armored up through my childhood, strapping more and more sort of protective armor on myself. And then as I got older, it's been that process of, stripping all those layers off. I was lucky enough to get to study what I wanted to straight off, which was a health science degree in natural medicine. So studying nutrition and herbal medicine and anatomy and physiology and natural clinical medicine and all those things, which I'd been to a naturopath when I was 16, and she really inspired me. And I thought, this is what I want to do. I want to help people heal. But I was finding that I didn't have the answers for people. I could help them with nutrition to a degree, getting to the heart of inspiring them or motivating them to really help heal, and then having the right key to unlock that door was still a big mystery. I worked through that. I grew up to a degree. I still found life intensely challenging. I would really say I was pretty terrified of life till I was about 33 when I look back now. Life just seemed to be so confronting and so cruel at times. And, I look back now, I suppose I was deeply, deeply sensitive and deeply, deeply vulnerable. And so I'd adopted very much a Pollyanna personality, which I actually did get from Pollyanna. Pollyanna was one of my, Anne of Green Gables and Pollyanna were two of my favorite, all those series were two of my, favorite novel series growing up. And I really adopted that, I've got broken legs, but I've got crutches, so that's okay sort of attitude, which of course is a good frame for some circumstances to help you through sometimes, but I seemed not to get the learning from the hard knocks. I just seemed to be getting lots of hard knocks. So I found life very hard. I also had developed a super nice good girl syndrome of the way that I felt that I needed to get love was to be eternally nice to people, and be the doormat. So, and of course I was completely aware of it. Coming from a nice sort of Christian girl upbringing, I just assumed that everybody was trustworthy and had everybody's good feelings at heart. So, of course, you go out into the big bad world, and that was very, very confronting and very strange and alien. And I just kept trying to be nice and be loving in that way. So, 33, I went into therapy, which was good. I would say that I'd been garden variety neurotic up until that phase. So having a bit of therapy definitely helped with some things, but I was still searching for the big, how do I fix me? I know that there are bits of me that are broken, and I know that I have this over-pleasing, over-giving personality, and like so many women that I would see in my clinic. When was it? In 2010, I did NLP, which unlocked a bit more of the mind, and I've been sort of really studying mind, hormones, for quite a few years, and especially like brain sex, so the difference between the male brain and the female brain. And of course, I think, our journey for women, kids, hormones, crazy town, I think, our journey is way, way, way more challenging than a lot of guys. So I was starting to get a handle on that. I was with my fabulous first husband, who was very, very wise, introduced me to a lot of other things. And then I did hypnosis, which unlocked the mind again. And but I was still searching. I still felt like I had that big piece of me that I didn't love. And in fact, I know that I took it into my marriage, and I was essentially saying to my husband, there's this piece of me that I don't love. Can you love this piece for me? And of course, in turn, with that hidden little chestnut, I went in time from being my husband's most precious sort of treasure that he prized to slipping way, 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 way down the totem pole, which was my projection of me not loving myself being presented back at me. Consciousness meets consciousness. So sadly, we dislocated after 8 years, but it was the right timing. It was the right, it was the right thing. We had a beautiful tango together for 8 years, but we'd really done our time. We'd really learnt from each other. I feel what we needed to learn. And so I then, a few years ago, after bouncing on asphalt for a couple of years, I then went on this journey of, I need to find, how do I love me? How do I love me? How do I love me? And enough with my perceived, I'll try and love others and help others heal. If I can't heal myself, if I can't love this intrinsic part of me, then I haven't got it yet. So searching, scraping, searching, trying this out, trying that out. And as you can imagine, doing natural medicine, I tried a lot of really woo-woo things. You know, I'd done kinesiology, and I'd done, you know, I reckon everybody should dance in the moonlight naked under the full moon. Is it going to bring about deeply profound changes? Probably not, but it's a great deal of fun. You know, so I'd done a lot of stuff, and I'd had my chakras gonged and all those things. But what I understand, with what I understand now, I was just, you know, fiddling around in the conscious mind and still trying to push change through the conscious mind. So 2 years ago was when I actually got it, and I actually got the bit of the secret that they didn't kind of explain properly. And I was having a chat to one of my great coaching buddies yesterday, and I was explaining to him, because people like Oprah, you know, who came from black, poor, you know, terribly, terribly poor circumstances in the deep South of America, she did this naturally, so that when you do it naturally, you can't pass it on to other people because they do it spontaneously. Same with people like Richard Branson, you know, he came from a different environment of, you know, whatever you believe you can achieve, and what did his mother used to say to him? Stand out from the crowd, you know, all those sort of things. He came from that programming where he had that bulletproof self-belief and could take risks. And so I think they find it hard to pass on because they've done it spontaneously. Oprah was very singular. She did it spontaneously. Instead of taking on her current circumstances, which a lot of women would do, which is, you know, I'm black and poor and not likely to get much of an education, so therefore, you know, God is punishing me, or I'm getting what I deserve. Oprah's attitude was, in spite of this, God has a greater thing in store for me. So you can see her belief, which was driving her from her unconscious. That was amazing. My beliefs, you know, fiddling around, my beliefs were things like, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough. Mm-hmm. You know, and I EFT'd it for 15 years, and I would sort of keep stripping back layers, but it was still essentially there. And then finally, it was like the Trinity came together for me, and I got it. I got the knack to unlock the unconscious mind very easily, and how to reprogram it and really reset this part of the brainstem where our programming lies. Are you still with me, guys? Or have I lost you?
This is interesting.
Oh, super. Now, to use a great metaphor, are you guys fans of the Matrix movie?
I've seen them all, yes.
Super. Do you remember the first one?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So remember the basic, beautiful character of Keanu playing Neo. So Neo actually represents the neocortex, which is the conscious mind, of course. So when Neo thinks that he is going off to his job in the office as a computer programmer, you know, that's actually a program that he's running, you know, which is us running our programs of our projected reality based on culture, sex, upbringing, beliefs, things that we, you know, generally believe to be true. So, but of course, you know, his reality is that he's actually a battery, you know, in the employ of the machines, and that's simply a program that's been downloaded. So that is a great metaphor for us.
It is.
Now, of course, when he takes the red pill that Morpheus, the dreamer, offers him, it interrupts the program, and he comes to that confronting, brutal reality, you know, which a lot of us have. You know, the friend I was speaking to yesterday tragically suddenly lost his child in a freak accident at 15 years of age. And, you know, so suddenly his reality changed. He was explaining to me that he'd been a financial planner, telling everybody to, you know, put all their money away and invest it wisely. And suddenly he went to telling his clients, invest some of your money and use some of your money so that you get to live your life now. You know, everything changed in that instant. And so when Neo becomes the one, and this is what being the one actually is, he began generating his reality from inside out instead of being impacted on by mad, bad, sad, outside in. And this is the mind hack which I've learnt and which I teach my clients. And I explain to them how their super consciousness works and drives everything. So instead of fiddling around trying to push change through the conscious mind, you know, I've been on a diet, I've eaten lettuce leaves for 3 days, I've had a fight with my boyfriend, I've gone through Macca's drive-through on the way home and I'll go back on the diet tomorrow. In this way, you know, people are trying to push change through the conscious mind and it doesn't work. And I was trying to do the same thing with money, which was my big self-sabotager. I had the money chestnut. First of all, being a woman. Secondly, being a healer, I had the money, service, values conflict, which looked like I can serve. I can't take the money. When my husband and I ran 3 very successful businesses and we were turning over $600,000 a year online within 3 years, I could take the money, but not personally. It was our money or the business's money. And then I would find ways to sabotage and give it away. So I was still sitting with that lack of self-value. I'm not good enough. Money, service, values, conflict. And it's like, what? And I remember going to a kinesiologist and paying her $80 a time for about 10 sessions to have her, you know, rebalance my body and look at the chart and all those fabulous kinesiology things, and thinking I could feel great in the session, and then by the time I get home I think I could have just flushed that $80 down the toilet. I'm still the same. I've still got that I'm not worthy thing. What is going to shift this? So aside from figuring that out, aside from realizing that alignment that we need to be in, and the big driver that comes from the superconscious, which is 70% of inspiration and motivation, where you line up your values and your beliefs. So values are what we hold dear, whether it be family or generosity or love or belonging or money, or, you know, those shadow survival needs, which we think, ooh, bad ones, you know, being greedy or needing to survive or wanting money or feeling superior or feeling safe. And then there's the golden values, things like love, family, appreciation, belonging, all those things. So by actually getting into alignment with your values and the beliefs, the things that you hold, the things that you believe are generally to be true, getting those into alignment using this mind hack, then of course they impact your behavior, and then that of course impacts your thoughts. So we start generating from inside out, and that's where I start with my clients, to show them that. Wow. And it makes all the difference. And then I can explain it to people exactly why, without using this, affirmations and vision boards won't work for probably, 90% of people. I liken it to, if 100 people go to a Tony Robbins seminar and 80 of them are women and 20 of them are men, and within 3 years, maybe 5 of those guys are millionaires. And with the 80 women, there's probably maybe 1 of those women who becomes a millionaire, and the other 75 women are saying, you know what? I'm not making any more money, but I feel better. And it's because, of course, what the guys can do with their testosterone-driven single hormone move toward hormonal setup, and of course not being generally the main care of families, periods, hormones, oppositional hormones, all that stuff, move away from hormones. So I don't want to be poor, I don't want to marry a bad person like my dad, or whatever. So our hormonal setup is oppositional. So what I find is that a lot of the half T things, love him, Tony Robbins, love him to bits, Brian Tracy, love all those guys. But what they do didn't work for me. It didn't go into that deeper layer that I needed. You know, there wasn't that right lever to get in and flick those chestnuts, those self-sabotage chestnuts, out of my mind. I wasn't getting in there to smash up those self-limiting beliefs and then reprogram. Now, psychology is wonderful in lots of ways and for helping people identify things. However, I liken it to discussing endlessly why the light bulb is broken. You know, and it's fiddling around with the conscious mind. It's coloring up the icing, or it's adding lemon flavoring to the icing. It's not changing the cake to any great degree. And if your cake, like mine was a mud pie. You know, my cake was made of dirt and water. And so I put nice lemon icing on it. You know, I was lucky enough to go off to a nice school and had a pony, and you know, we had nice holidays and all those things. But inside, and when I look at all of my photographs from my childhood, I look anxious in every one of them. I was saying to one of my friends recently, I had a great life, but I didn't know it. And I look back now, you know, I just couldn't enjoy any of it. I was a top student, but I was like Lisa Simpson. You know, I was so gutted with feeling like a fraud and feeling not worthy. So strive, straight A student, and hating myself. And of course, you know, I got to the point of being nearly getting to the end of high school, and I just imploded. I just couldn't handle. I'm pretty sure I probably had a minor nervous breakdown when I was in about Form 5, which is, you know, the second last year before high school ends here, because I just was so anxious, which manifested itself as anorexia. And, you know, so in those days I started to eat an orange, which not a very good healthy mindset, especially when you're trying to get through school. So that was a bit of a journey. So boy, have I worked the control. You know, that was my way. When my life seemed out of control, how could I get control? I could control what I ate, what I didn't eat, what I wanted to eat, what I should have eaten, all that stuff. Massive amount of energy gone up to control, you know, to manage my anxiety, tied up with the control of food. So are you getting this right now, that I've sort of come out of being a bit of a nutter? So I know this stuff.
Well,
and I can relate to women.
I love what you said, that some people like Oprah, for example, Richard Branson, it's like they do this unconsciously, like it's just natural for them. They just have this ability. And so many people, myself included, I've struggled through my own issues. And obviously, I mean, I'm not done, because I don't think I will be done until probably the day I take my last breath. But that's okay, because I'm improving all the time, right?
That's it.
But it's just being able to identify. And when you said about dealing with your upbringing, like your beliefs and values, and what struck me at that moment was how many people don't go down that path. I got goosebumps, so this is right. How many people don't go down that path because they don't want to blame their parents. They love their parents. They think that their parents did a good job raising them. Where did those issues come from? Do those issues come from, like, I mean, this is what struck me, was, do those issues come from parents, like bad parents, not bad parents, dysfunctional parents, I guess is the best way. And I mean, I can see the issues that I picked up as a child, and I've been doing some work, and there's been it's been identified that some of the stuff that I'm carrying is generational. Now, some people might not believe that, but I actually, when that stuff came up, you called them chestnuts. When that stuff came up for me, it was like, yeah, I remember my grandmother or my mom telling me, my grandmother or my great grandmother, you know, so I mean, it's something that obviously has been passed down, right? And, you know, whether or not it's just something my mom said or my dad said or my grandparents or my, you know, whatever family members. But I honestly think sometimes people feel disloyal if they identify something that has come up, and then there was a couple issues that I came up. I didn't want to discuss it with my mom, but I had to because it was something that involved her. Like, so I mean, it was. I'm not gonna, go into it, but I mean, it was just. I felt bad. So I mean, I had to turn that around so it wasn't a negative. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely, Julie. As we were talking when we were talking earlier, and I was saying that Dad's 90. He's going to be 91 next month, bless him, and Mum's coming up for 80. And I'm so lucky because I can have these conversations with Mum, where she knows that, her smoking when I was a child, which was accepted. Her doctor said it's okay to smoke through her pregnancy. You know what I mean? Like, so much has changed.
Right.
But she is quite aware. She may not take, and it's not a blame thing, but Mum still, still is using antidepressants and medication and things like that. So she's not fully aware of how not being mentally well and perhaps seeing a therapist, impacted on us. But she is aware to a degree. And I feel so lucky that we can have those conversations because both my parents, actually, I'll, if I may share my story about, and I'll show you if I may share my superpower with you.
Okay.
And how, talking about exactly what we're talking about, reprogramming very quickly. I'd identified that my light bulb was broken, to use a metaphor. This is the metaphor that I use with clients, and also talking in relation to things like counseling and psychology and things. So with my clients, I don't even really have to hear much of their story. I can tell them what their limiting belief is immediately. The limiting belief is whatever they want that they don't have. Right. So for example, when I used my system, July 2015, when I got this golden key, and I thought, I've put those three things together and that is the golden key. That's my aha moment. That's what I've been searching for, to get the lineup of the three parts of the brain to make change and programming dead easy. So what happened was I rejigged my vision board, and I decided at that stage, to be a world-class coach, it would be terrific to be an internationally best-selling author. That's some wonderful window dressing that goes along with it. And so I set up my new vision board. In dead center of it, I printed in big letters, world-class coach, world-class presenter, internationally best-selling author. And using this Imagine Activation mind hack, envision that every morning for about at least 15 minutes. If I had 30 minutes to visualize, I would. Or, but if I only had 10 or 5, I'd do it for 5. And using that mind hack, feeling those feelings of what it already felt like, setting up those neural pathways in my brain, imagining it. 5 months later, I was offered the Elevate book deal, and I hadn't even put pen to paper.
Oh, cool.
So, and then that manifested a year later. There's the published book in my hand, #1 international bestseller. So August last year, I decided, I was successfully hypnotizing clients off smoking in an hour, and, seeing some wellness coaching clients, but I decided I really want to get into executive wellness coaching. I took internationally best-selling author off my vision board because that was already in train. I put $5,000 a week in big letters, world-class presenter, world-class coach, and used the mind hack, felt the feelings, got into gratitude, and few months later, this is the God factor. This is the X factor of not pushing change through the conscious mind, getting our super consciousness behind us. A client who I'd hypnotized off smoking via Skype, actually, from Melbourne, chatting to a friend of his, literally in a bar, said, I might have a wellness coach for you. got a contact from that person. I got offered, a fabulous job coaching executives and wellness, paying over $1,000 a day. So that's the hack.
Yeah.
So here's what happens with psychology and counseling. People are endlessly discussing why the light bulb is broken. And of course, in endlessly going over and discussing it, you're hardwiring it into more parts of the brain, and you're hardwiring the trauma into more parts of the brain. What we do is we identify that the light bulb is broken. There's a limiting belief there. So the reason that I wasn't manifesting $5,000 a week, and I'm getting there, was because I had a limiting belief around it. So if we take X as our limiting belief, so I'm not manifesting that, that's what I desire, or, loving relationship with a particular person, or whatever it is, or a healthy weight range, whatever it is, or, eating healthier food. So we identify easily what X is. X is, I don't eat 3 healthy meals a day, and I don't exercise regularly, whatever it is, or I'd like to weigh this particular amount. That's what X is. Now this is part of the mind hack that I realized was an essential thing that was missing. Because our reality right here and now is the projection of our superconsciousness, and consciousness meets consciousness. I don't want to be poor. I don't want to marry a man who is an alcoholic like my dad, or, any of the things that people tell themselves. And of course, that's self-hypnotism. It's exactly what happens. I'd been telling myself Louise Hay affirmations for 30 years, but they weren't going in. And God bless, I just adore Louise Hay. She's one of my very early mentors. But the affirmations weren't going in because, fiddling around in the conscious mind, not going into the deeper layer until I put this and this other thing together in this mind hack. So, the classic, like you go to the selling seminar and you do your vision board and it's all very exciting, and there's the yacht and there's the $1 million and there's the match and all that stuff, and you come home and what do? You hype yourself. Millionaire, whoop whoop, yacht, whoop whoop, great, all that stuff. Hyping yourself in front of your vision board. Hype shuts down the hindbrain, the precortex. It's shut down by that stuff. So hyping in front of your vision board means that 3 weeks later the vision board goes behind the couch, or a year later it's still sitting on the fridge, but nothing's happening because you're shutting down your precortex. So this was this process that I worked out with my clients. We identify X, the limiting belief. We're going to unscrew the light bulb. The way that we unscrew the broken light bulb is, first of all, we have to make our pre-cortex superconsciousness, which drives everything, uncomfortable. We have to say to it, this situation right now that I'm weigh X and I want to weigh Y, or, this is my money state and I want it to be that, or, I'm in this relationship and I want to get out of it, whatever it is. We have to make our superconsciousness uncomfortable with it. We have to point out, because this keeps us, this is supposed to keep us safe. So, we type a bad habit such as smoking with keeping us safe, because we did it to be, like I did it when I was a teenager. I did it to be confident, to appear more sophisticated than what I was, all those sort of things. So, and that's why you want to stop smoking with your conscious mind, but you need to keep smoking with your superconsciousness, because you've tied it up with superiority, safety, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So to psychologically reverse that situation that you currently have, the first step is I get clients to write 100 reasons why their reality right now sucks.
Oh, wow.
So I'm not making $5,000 a week, and it sucks because, so I wrote down 10 headings, tied up with things, personal development, friends and family. It's made up 10 headings. And I wrote myself 300 reasons in an afternoon. So I write down 100 reasons in an afternoon why not making $5,000 a week. Completely and utterly sucked eggs. I can't have the holidays that I want. I can't do the personal development that I want. I can't do Michael Neal's super coaching course. I can't, I can't wear the clothes that I want to wear. I don't have the money in the bank. And because part of my beliefs, my parents grew up poor. My dad lost a lot of his superannuation to embezzlement when I was a teenager. And so I'm sure that planted those chestnuts of, I can just get by with just enough, and I'll just have enough. And there was also a worrying part of me because I was depressed, where I thought, if I get a lot of money, maybe I'll go out of control and I'll become an alcoholic, or I'll take drugs. And one of my childhood friends sadly wrote himself off to heroin and didn't survive past teenagedom. And so I think there was that fear of, if I had a lot of money, or actually, this is a funny thing, it comes up for clients all the time. It's okay to have money, but I don't want to be one of those flashy whackers. So they lead with I don't want to be flashy. But I want money, but I don't want to be flashy. And of course, it's a complete and utter conflict. Your hindbrain just shuts you right down.
Yeah.
You want to have money, but you don't want to be flashy. Oh, well, we won't. We'll just make it easy. We just won't let you have a lot of money.
How many people right now have all their beliefs running around in their head? I know I do.
And this is the cool thing. I did this with a coach a couple of weeks ago. We were doing exactly I'm not enough. And she said, I got to about 50 reasons, and I was thinking, this is really dumb. And then she said she got to 60 reasons, and she started thinking, oh my goodness, this sucks because of blah. This sucks because of blah. I can't be the mother that I want to be if I'm not feeling like I'm not enough. Totally changed. She ended up writing 150 reasons. She got right into it. And she's telling her subconscious, our superconscious, this situation is not making us safe, feel superior, feel secure. This situation is exposing us to danger. Because otherwise, without that process, without sending that direct, clear message to your superconsciousness, this situation is not making us safe. You're the little frog that's sitting in the pot of hot water with the gas turned up. Mm-hmm. And it sits there and I'm getting uncomfortable. I don't like my job, and I don't like my boss, and I don't like this, and I don't like my girlfriend, and I don't like my weight issue, and I don't like this and that, but not so uncomfortable that I'll jump out. Now, unfortunately, there are those coaches out there that are telling people, just take any action. Doesn't matter what action is, take it. Now, if you're like me, I kept taking the wrong action, jumping into the frying pan, or worse, into the fire, and then jumping back into the pot that I didn't want to be in, because I'd made the bad decision. And therefore my super consciousness would go into more lockdown and say, you can't change. You can't change your money situation. That sucks, because it sucks, and we know it sucks. But if you try and change and you make a financial mistake, you could make a worse mistake and end up worse off. So then you get into this gridlock of, I cannot change. Or if I change, it takes me 10 years.
Wow.
So this psychologically reverses, unscrews the broken light bulb very fast, and then we see what comes up. If an actual trauma comes up for someone where they say, oh yeah, my grade 2 teacher told me that I'd probably end up in prison, and I was a terrible person and I'd never amount to anything, or my dad said that I was useless, or whatever. If that stuff comes up, then I use my combination of NLP and EFT to smash up that limiting belief and smash up that trauma. And the EFT actually dissolves the trauma out of the electrical system. And then what we do is the other exercise, which is we write 300 reasons, or 100 to 300. If it's a little issue, you might write 20 or 50. For a big thing, like I want to make 300,000 a year, I'm going to write 300 reasons. Okay. For making, $5,000 a week. So in an afternoon, I wrote down, tying up with my values, why I was allowing and giving myself, and how incredible it would feel to make $5,000 a week easily, tied up with my values, which I know from my childhood, safety, superiority, and lots of control and freedom. So I'm joyously, in an afternoon, sat down on a Sunday afternoon and wrote down 300 reasons, 30 reasons under 10 headings, like more stuff, personal development, friends, family, charity, and I'll be able to set up the foundation I've always wanted to set up. So now I'm giving myself permission, and I wrote, dear, what did I write? Dear me, thank universe. I'm joyously giving myself permission to, to wear the clothes that I want to wear, and to buy my lovely comfortable Sierra shoes that I love buying that cost $300 a pair. So this is unlocking that whole thing at Oprah. When they were driving home from the rich neighborhoods, through the rich neighborhoods after church, Oprah didn't look at the trees and look at the nice houses and go, woo, woo, hype, hype. Rich people have trees. Woo, woo, I want a lot of trees. Oprah simply thought, these people are wealthy. I imagine that in her neighborhood, people were probably chopping their trees down to put them in their cooking stove and keep warm over winter and cook food. So they didn't have trees. So Oprah, driving through the wealthy neighborhoods after church, is looking at the tree saying, I love trees, closing her eyes. I heard this from one of her TED Talks recently, or some kind of forum that she was addressing. And, so she would then close her eyes and just have a little bit of an imagination about how much she loved trees. That's what feeds in to the hindbrain. So with my vision board and with my 300 reasons of giving myself permission, so I read that list out twice a day. And what I realize now, this is actually a 3-monthly process. Keep doing it, because each time you do it, your reasons will change and you'll get more of the heart of the matter to yourself. Some things will be more important and some things of lesser importance, because you're giving yourself permission to really become the you that you want to be. So 300 reasons, rejigged my vision board, and this is the mind hack. I did it with music. I did it with Vivaldi, Baroque music, drumming music, techno music. Is left-right brain integration. You don't have to do it with music. I just love music. I would play Vivaldi's 4 Seasons. By the time I got to winter, I would have entered my super conscious front door, as I call it. So the process is, I've looked at my vision board so much, and I need a vision board because I'm a woman. I shouldn't say because I'm a woman. I need a vision board because I love visualization. I can't write lists like my beautiful, fabulous ex-husband used to do. I need the picture proof, and it needs to change as I want something or I don't want something. It needs to change and be up to date. So I blue tack things to my wall. I don't stick them on a board because it changes quite regularly. So I looked at my vision board for so long that it's embedded in here. I've actually got, Julia Roberts is one of my favorite actresses. She's born about a day before me, so we're practically twins. so Julia has that Lancôme perfume, My Life is Beautiful. I printed up in black letters on my beautiful bright yellow manifesting paper. My life is beautiful. C'est la belle, or whatever it is. Cut out the perfume bottle cover and stuck these beautiful glittery silvery covers on my vision board, with Julia Roberts wearing a fabulous dress and my world-class coach, world-class presenter. That's in the middle of there as well. So that is, and my pictures of Paris, because I want to go back to Paris soon. And when I'm ready, meet the next Mr. Right, for a lovely long time. And so that's all on my vision board, and it's embedded in here because I've looked at it so much. So my alarm goes off, I flick on Vivaldi, and I would do gratitudes for about 10 minutes. Gratitudes, getting myself into that attitude of gratitude, compassion state, saying prayers forward for people who I knew needed them. Being grateful for the fact that we've had this incredible conversation, that I connected with you a few months ago through the medium of Facebook, Julia. What a absolute blessing that is. All those things. It doesn't have to be, I'm giving thanks for, a splash of $50,000. It's really like, I'm really grateful for, I'm sleeping in this lovely, warm, cozy bed. And I had that beautiful dinner out yesterday, whatever it is, or that I gave, that we had that smile yesterday, whatever it is, little things. Now, because I've sort of programmed myself. I would actually feel, and I would walk towards a golden door. I would feel when I was ready, when winter came on. So I'd sort of anchored when the track winter would start. I walked towards my golden door and I passed through it. Then when I'm through it, that's when we hype. Now what we do, the bridge of that is to connect up. I'm going to see if I can just balance my phone on the cushion and not have it fall over so you lose me. So what we're doing is, this is the trick. This is the trick that I needed. This is the trick that I figured out the most, see if I could just balance it on my glasses case perhaps. This is the trick that I needed. So we're doing, as I walk towards that golden door, getting into my happy, joy state, I would tell myself a fabulous story, like the time that my husband and I went sailing in the Whitsundays, and, you know, whales are around us, and it's a beautiful, you know, 26-degree day. It's gorgeous. We're hanging off Whitehaven, Whitehaven Beach, which is that world famous white silica beach. So there's my happy, joy story, where I am literally feeling like $1 million. My wedding day in Bali, surrounded by frangipani, you know, and 30 of our friends in Bali and family, and just how magnificent it was. There's my happy, joy, feeling like $1 million. Then I graft my world-class coach, internationally best-selling author onto that, and there's the match. There's the neural pathway match. I'm making it known. So another metaphor is, I was in Sadtown or Pollyannaville telling myself, oh, I've just kicked myself in the teeth again, given that money away, or lost that money, or made that money and saved it, and someone's crashed into my car, no insurance, and I've just spent $5,000 to get my car fixed. So I'm stuck in Sadtown. To be a millionaire, to make $5,000 a week, to make $1,000 a week, whatever it is that you want that you don't have, you have to cross no man's land. And that's what the unconscious mind doesn't like. Ooh, we've never been a millionaire. Ooh, it's no man's land. It might be, being a millionaire might be Happy Town, but to get to Happy Town, we've got to cross uncharted waters. Mm-hmm. And we don't like that. So we're just going to keep you in Sad Town, because we know Sad Town. We know smoking. We know bad relationships. We know going from one bad relationship to another. We know, having a bad financial situation. We may not love it, but we know it. It's known. So what we're doing in setting up that neural pathway and that visualization, like Oprah with her trees, that she could, be in the lovely home, that she could feel herself. Oh, I bet it's all warm and cozy, and they've got electricity, and they've got lovely windows and curtains, and oh, I bet it's cozy. She's making the unknown known to her superconscious. Mm-hmm. So that's the bridge to across no man's land, where the crocodiles are in the moat. That's the bridge to make change easy. So what happened was, after visualizing for 5 months and being offered the Elevate health book deal, I sat, and this is a funny thing. Another great lesson. When I was really starting to implode during my last year of high school, my Form 6 high school teacher, English teacher, and I had a personality clash. I stopped handing work in. English went from being my top subject to being a subject that I practically failed. You can imagine how much that freaked out my superconscious when I'd been getting straight A's in English. For all of school, I was the best reader, by far, and the best speller and all those things. Utterly freaked out to be practically failing English and failing English literature. And so when I did naturopathy, I could write essays, but I would literally in those days, eat a packet of chocolate biscuits and smoke probably half a packet of cigarettes and start writing essays at about 10:30 at night. I had this crazy ritual, because I was so freaked out about writing. And I would make myself do it, but I'd leave it to the last minute, to the night before, then I'd do an all-nighter and I'd pass. But, that crazy stress. Because my hindbrain was saying, my superconscious was saying, I don't want you to feel frustrated, and I don't want you to feel humiliated about writing, so I'm not going to let you write. So I hadn't been, so I could make myself write stuff, but then and my friends would say, you write the best letters we've ever read. They are the most entertaining. You have to write a book. I'd sit down to write a book and I wouldn't be able to get past, the first 3 sentences because that was no man's land. This time, when I sat down to write my chapter for the Elevate Health Book series, what do internationally best-selling authors do? Well, I'm already an internationally best-selling author. In my superconscious, we write internationally best-selling chapters. I sat down and I wrote 500 to 800 words a day till I actually wrote 8,000 words, realized I could write 100,000 words, but I could only submit 5,500 words for this chapter. It was like a breeze. Spent 2 weeks really, editing it and fine-tuning it. Did a complete re-gut. But I did it, and I did it happily because in my, neural pathway now, it was all set up that I was already an internationally best-selling author. That was my reality. I'd crossed no man's land. I'd made it to Happy Town.
So I can see how, all the little pieces that I'm sure Sean and I both have learned over the years, and it's like you've just brought everything together and just made it work in one system for you. And that's really exciting. So that's quite a story because that just really meshes it together for me and shows me the pieces that I need to be able to, move forward. And that's really exciting because I probably have all these pieces, but as they say, you've heard it, but you don't know it until you do it, right?
Well, my mentor, does psychological reversal, but it's like, what are 3 things you don't like about this situation, or what are 10 things? And it wasn't until I actually went through that exercise that I realized and understanding about, from hypnosis, about how we get these, smoking is meeting a need, being overweight is meeting a protection need, or, being poor. And this is, it was getting this, like the universe open to me where I realized I'm getting a need met in not having enough money. I might not want that with my conscious mind. And I'd known about this for years, but it's like, how do I flick it? How do I do this 180 and reverse that? And I realized this was this thing I had to point out. I had to go through that process of 100 reasons and psychological reversal. Now, a lot of men may not need to do that step because, actually this is a classic one. My male clients love this. I point it out all the time, and it's the aha moment. We have a giggle about it. Classic male programmed need. I want more sex. I'll get a red shiny sports car. Red shiny sports car equals more sex. Now, they may not even consciously figure that out. Probably a lot of them do, right? And of course, red shiny sports car, more sex. Probably works like a beaut, probably 90 out of 100 times. And isn't it true? And we know it's true, and meeting basic need. I want to get more action. Basic need, red shiny sports car. So men, and of course it's that thing, then you see like when that thing, I know I did this in NLP, like, you dream about the car that you want to have, and of course, I want the white MG or whatever, and I see white, and of course I never got any closer to getting to it. Men can, because they're testosteronally driven. They're one-track hormone driven. They move toward, unless they've probably had a big trauma or, some kind of massive self-limiting belief there, they will just, so you can see why they go to Tony Robbins, like my mentor did. My mentor coach, Ben Harvey, went to Tony Robbins, signed up for his, coaching seminar. Went from 130,000. He said my weight matched my debt. He was 130 kilos, and he weighed 130 kilograms, and now he weighs about 80 kilograms, and he was $130,000 in debt. Within a year, he went to earning 6 figures. Now, I've been going to those sort of things for 20 years. And I can see that it works, it's like it's working for some people. No matter how many vision boards I set up and no matter how many affirmations I do and I stand in front of my vision board, it's not working.
Can I compliment to that?
Please.
It's one of those things, Heather, that it's people live logically. and they just kind of coast through life. If there's no emotion, there's no internal deep depth of that connection to what you're doing. And somebody brought this to my attention, and I kind of had an aha moment again last week on a coaching call. And if we can literally get people emotionally, mentally prepared, confidence through the roof, and communicate that to the universe, they will have everything in their life that they want. He says, I'm not a motivational guy. Motivation is like drugs. It's like crack cocaine or heroin. It's an instant high, and then it's you crash and burn. He said, this is a consistent internal connection and depth to help you stay on the same boat, the same train that you're meant to be on, to go and run your life's journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's one of the exciting things. And you know, when you have that and you say, yeah, why do you think people get buyer's remorse? Because it's a logical thing. You got all this hype, and it's this and this, it's awesome, and it's, you know.
And they crash. Yeah. It was like all the seminars
I don't know
used
if
to
we
go
did the
to.
right thing. I don't know if we invested the money in the right place. And I don't know. And you start feeding yourself all this BS in your mind, and then you pick up the phone and you say, you know what? I've given it some thought. The problem is you've given it some thought. Successful people don't give things a thought. They literally say, what's the investment? How soon can I get my return on investment? That's it. They make decisions quick, and they change their minds very seldom.
True. You know, and of course, it's one of those things that the more that you build on success, you know, now, going back to the thing I mentioned about I'm going to doing my 300 reasons, giving myself permission every 3 months, because my reality is changing so quickly. It's upscaling so quickly to meet my new consciousness, which is, of course, being super consciousness driven, inspiration, motivation. So I keep upscaling.
And the other thing too, that I've picked up from what you said, Heather, most people don't understand that the reason why we're on the path that we're on is because of our upbringing, when our paradigm was the most open in our lives as children. And people say, oh, that's a bunch of BS, and that's not true, and blah, blah, blah. Guess what? I don't know very many successful people, whether they have a boatload of money or not, but I don't know any successful people that are miserable with their lives, hate their life, hate their family, don't give back to the community, don't volunteer time, all of this stuff going on. I don't know anybody. And people say money can't buy happiness. I don't know anybody that's miserable that has it.
Yes.
And I know that they're one of the biggest philanthropists on the planet by doing what they do every day. And their children, for the most part, I'm not going to say all, because there's some of those rich, you know, spoiled brat scenarios, but the ones that have been true to what they do, and they've actually led their children in the right way, positively, they earn what they got. They weren't just given a handout on a gold spoon.
Yes. It
truly is different life for them today than it would be if they came and their parents were not action takers, decision makers, you know, went and fought for their financial freedom and all this other stuff like never before. And it's really sad on what's happening out there, because like you said, poverty is a tool, and it's a vehicle of mass destruction. Nothing good comes out of poverty. Nothing good comes out of poverty.
It itself generates.
And you know what? It just keeps going and going and going. And both Julia and I know that, coming from the financial services world, we sat across the kitchen table with many families that were financially destitute. We knew that. You're providing them another stream of potentially how to making additional income, for one, but putting cost-effective financial strategies in place for them, that if something happened, not a matter of when, a matter of if, you had an instrument in place. Example, life insurance. We don't buy life insurance for things that we don't love. You know what I mean? And I say to people this
true.
with a smile on my face: if you don't love your family, don't buy life insurance. It's that simple. You buy it to replace your income, so that your family can maintain the same standard of living than when you're gone. Because if you're stressed right now financially, and you're living paycheck to paycheck, and dad's the only person that's bringing in, or mom, and dad's a stay-at-home dad, and mom passes away in a car accident, dad passes away in a car accident, something catastrophic happens, they will never be able to maintain the same standard of living they have today if that protection's not there. The same reason why we have car insurance, the same reason why we have house insurance. You buy it to protect your stuff.
Yes.
And most people don't see value in it. You know, we travel abroad. There's a prime example. Oh, you know what, Heather? I'm not buying that freaking travel insurance. It's $70. That's too much money. They get sick. We actually had a lady who went to Australia from one of the other advisors. She went on a vacation with her daughter. She got pneumonia, and she was rushed to the hospital, and it was a $30,000 travel insurance claim.
Wow.
She spent 3 days in the hospital. You know, if she hadn't have been where she was, she could have ended up dying.
Yeah.
So it's
absolutely.
all in perspective. And I've heard horror stories in the United States of people losing everything that they had for medical expenses. They had a great credit score. It crashed and burned. I mean, all these things. It's just, we do things to help people. And rather than them going through somebody's bad, catastrophic, really, really like life-altering experience, it's like, you know what? Just spend the $70 and just protect yourself. You know what I mean? It's just as that small. But a lot of people think really small, that it's all about the cash that they don't have in their lives. Whereas if they focused on the main reason why they're doing it, and that's to protect their families, they would be thinking, yeah, Heather, whatever it is you're doing, I want in.
Yeah.
Whatever you provide is whatever. I'm in. It's a non-negotiable. See, when they go to their jobs, I'm going to say this the right way because we're live. They go to their jobs and they give their lives to their bosses, but yet they break mama's heart by showing up late for an anniversary dinner. They break the little girl or the son's baseball or ballet jazz. I'm sorry, I can't show up. I got to work overtime. It's all about priorities. And if you're mentally, emotionally confident and you communicate to the universe, you can control your life on the decisions and the actions that you take.
And
I'm hearing you.
Too many people focus on what they don't have versus what they want.
Amen.
That's what I was hearing a lot about what you're saying, Heather, is that, so we're sort of doing a recap here, is just basically focus on what you want. Yes, you have to clean up the messes, clean up the stuff that's, holding you back. Absolutely. But make sure that you're also focusing on what you do want in life. Because that actually, keeps you, Sean's saying 5 minutes. that keeps you moving forward. And I've seen that in my own life, and I've seen it in other people's lives. So it is very true. So
and the other trick about that, Julia, is to actually figure out what you want in the first place. And that's where I also, help my clients, because, they actually don't know what they want. And of course, if you aim at nothing, you're sure to hit it.
They have no idea what their life purpose is.
True.
That's a big
They are walking around aimlessly like a zombie, going to work, coming home, grabbing dinner, going for a shower, going to bed, and doing it all over again.
Yes.
I was a coach for about 5 years, and I used to ask people what their goals were, what their dreams were. And so many people said to me, I have no idea.
Aww.
I don't know how to dream. I don't know what I want. And then, those same people maybe, at some point or another, other people were saying to me, like, is this all there is to life? you know,
absolutely,
45,
yes.
50, 55 years old. Is this
Yes.
all I'm going to do for the rest of my life? What was my life worth? You know, why did I just stay on this track? Well, I mean, if you stay on a track and you never do anything, it's just basically a grave. It's a rut, grave with the ends kicked out, because you, like Sean says, you know, die when you're 25 and bury when you're 65 or 75, right?
That's right.
You never ever try and get up and do anything different, and that's really sad. I mean, I've seen it a lot, and I'm sure you guys have too, and it's really sad to see that people just don't. I don't know if they don't want to. They don't think. I'm not sure what makes people stay stuck like that.
They just settle.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, but from my point of view, I know that, you know, I liken it to, I lived on the merry-go-round for decades because it was safe, and then you know, I started riding the roller coaster, which is, of course, it's thrilling, but it's also terrifying, and and it, you know, and it really was, and that's that super consciousness guiding us, you know, and I had no purpose, I had no, you know, not much direction, so life plans, figuring out where I really wanted to be, all those things, you know. Oh boy, you know, starting to get to Happy Town is amazing.
Well, so much for 45 minutes, hey?
Yeah, gosh,
anyways,
it's amazing.
We're going to leave your viewers in suspense. Stay tuned for the next episode of Success with Dynamic Duo. Thank you very much, guys. We got to cut this off because we got a webinar starting in half an hour that we're going to provide some serious sick value. Heather, we can have another conversation in the future. We do appreciate you. We love you. Thank you so much for sharing all the golden nuggets. We look forward to connecting you again. See you guys on the next one.
Thanks,
bye for
guys.
now.
Bye-bye.